In 2000, Netflix had a problem. The company was losing money, struggling to grow, and facing an opponent that seemed impossible to beat. That opponent was Blockbuster. At the time, Blockbuster had more than 9,000 stores, millions of customers, and complete control over the movie rental industry. Netflix was so desperate that its founders offered to sell the company to Blockbuster for just $50 million. Blockbuster laughed and rejected the offer. It seemed like the obvious decision. Why would the king of movie rentals buy a tiny startup that mailed DVDs through the post? But over the next 2 decades, something incredible happened. Netflix didn't just survive, it destroyed Blockbuster, transformed the entertainment industry, and became one of the most powerful media companies on earth. Today, Netflix is worth hundreds of billions of dollars and serves hundreds of millions of subscribers worldwide. So how did a small DVD rental startup defeat a giant and change the way the world watches entertainment forever? This is the story of the rise of Netflix. The story begins in California in 1997. Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph believed the internet could completely change how people rented movies. At the time, renting a movie meant driving to a local Blockbuster store, browsing shelves, and hoping the movie you wanted was available. If you returned it late, you paid extra fees. Millions of customers hated these late fees. In fact, late fees generated hundreds of millions of dollars for Blockbuster every year. Netflix saw an opportunity. Instead of physical stores, customers could browse movies online. Instead of driving to a store, DVDs would arrive by mail. It sounded strange at first. Many people doubted that anyone would want to rent movies this way, but the founders believed convenience would eventually win. In 1998, Netflix officially launched. The company started with a small library of DVDs and a simple website. Growth was slow. Customers needed internet access, credit cards, and patience. But something important was happening. People loved avoiding late fees. Netflix gradually attracted loyal users. Then the company introduced an idea that would change everything: a monthly subscription. For a fixed fee, customers could rent as many movies as they wanted without worrying about due dates. It was simple, it was convenient, and customers loved it. As internet usage expanded during the early 2000s, Netflix began growing rapidly. The subscription model created predictable revenue. Customer satisfaction increased. Word of mouth spread. Meanwhile, Blockbuster continued relying on traditional stores. The company believed customers enjoyed visiting physical locations. Executives underestimated the internet. Netflix did the opposite. The company invested heavily in technology. Its recommendation algorithm analyzed viewing habits and suggested movies users were likely to enjoy. This was revolutionary at the time. Instead of browsing endless shelves, customers received personalized recommendations. The more people used Netflix, the smarter the platform became. Subscriber numbers exploded. The company went public in 2002. Investors started paying attention. Every year brought more customers and more revenue. Netflix was no longer a small startup. It was becoming a serious threat. Then something happened that would change the entire entertainment industry. Internet speeds improved dramatically. For the first time, streaming video became possible. Most companies saw streaming as a future opportunity. Netflix saw it as an immediate priority. This decision would define the company's future. In 2007, Netflix launched its streaming service. At first, the catalog was limited. The quality wasn't perfect. Many people still preferred DVDs. But Reed Hastings understood something crucial. The future wasn't physical media. The future was digital. Netflix began investing aggressively in streaming technology. While competitors focused on protecting existing businesses, Netflix was willing to disrupt itself. This was a risky decision. Streaming threatened Netflix's own DVD business. But management knew that if they didn't replace DVDs, someone else would. The company expanded streaming to televisions, gaming consoles, smartphones, and tablets. Watching movies became easier than ever. Then Netflix made another bold move. Instead of simply licensing content from Hollywood studios, it started creating original content. This was extremely risky. Producing television shows required enormous budgets. Many analysts thought Netflix was making a mistake. Then in 2013, Netflix released House of Cards. The show became a massive success. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't just a distributor, it was a creator. Soon came Stranger Things, Narcos, The Crown, Squid Game, Wednesday, and many more. Netflix had transformed into a global entertainment powerhouse. Success didn't come without problems. In 2011, Netflix made one of the biggest mistakes in its history. The company announced major price increases and planned to separate its DVD and streaming businesses. Customers were furious. Hundreds of thousands canceled subscriptions. Netflix lost significant market value. The backlash was severe. Management quickly reversed several decisions. The crisis taught the company an important lesson about understanding customers. But bigger challenges were coming. Disney launched Disney Plus, Warner Brothers launched Max, Amazon invested heavily in Prime Video, Apple entered the streaming war. For the first time, Netflix faced powerful competitors with enormous resources. Subscriber growth slowed. Investors became nervous. In 2022, Netflix reported subscriber losses for the first time in years. Many people predicted the company's decline, yet Netflix adapted once again. The company introduced advertising plans, cracked down on password sharing, and improved profitability. Once again, it survived. Today, Netflix operates in more than 190 countries. Its content reaches hundreds of millions of viewers every day. The company produces movies, documentaries, television shows, live events, and original programming across the globe. Netflix has become one of the most influential entertainment companies in history. Meanwhile, Blockbuster has almost disappeared. The company that once dominated movie rentals failed to adapt. Netflix became the future. Blockbuster became a lesson. Netflix's rise wasn't just about movies, it wasn't just about technology, and it certainly wasn't about luck. The company's success came from a willingness to change before change became necessary. Again and again, Netflix disrupted its own business. It moved from physical rentals to subscriptions, from subscriptions to streaming, from streaming to original content, from being a distributor to becoming a global entertainment empire. Most companies protect what made them successful. Netflix repeatedly abandoned what worked in order to build what came next. That mindset changed the entertainment industry forever. The story of Netflix teaches a powerful lesson. Success can become dangerous when it makes companies comfortable. The businesses that survive aren't always the biggest, they aren't always the richest, and they aren't always the strongest. The companies that survive are usually the ones willing to reinvent themselves before the world forces them to. When Netflix looked at the future, it didn't ask, how do we protect what we have? It asked, what will people want next? And because of that question, a small startup that mailed DVDs became one of the most powerful media companies on earth. That's the rise of Netflix.